Thank you very much for joining us for an introduction to StudyUSA Plus, a new service powered by INTCAS. I am Cheryl Darrett-Boychuk, INTCAS's U.S. Director of Institutional Relations. I've been in the field of international student recruitment for more than 20 years, and I'm delighted that we're partnering with StudyUSA, which has been a true pioneer in facilitating global student mobility since the late 1970s. Just to give you a little background, INTCAS originally began in London about 7 years ago, partly in response to the United Kingdom's decision to tighten their immigration policy. The team recognized gross inefficiencies in a very fragmented market. We have all of these different stakeholders, all ultimately trying to serve the student. So INTCAS has carefully constructed intelligent digital communities around those students to improve efficiency and integrity throughout the process. INTCAS helps all kinds of education institutions attract, recruit, and manage international students in a safe, compliant, and cost-effective way. Our mission is to help students build fulfilling careers by managing intelligent communities with integrity. So we reached out to StudyUSA last year, as it's known in the industry to embrace innovation in the international admissions process. We agreed to move forward with a partnership to ultimately generate highly qualified student applications and address particular pain points. As you know, today's international education landscape is more competitive and more vulnerable than ever before due to several factors. We've already mentioned the inefficient and fragmented processes from the student's perspective. Students expect immediate answers to their questions and full transparency. On a larger scale, industry professionals are seeing greater competition from different parts of the world. There are also political challenges in the form of increases in isolationist tendencies from a few top host countries. With StudyUSA Plus, we'll address those pain points with a new suite of products and services designed to take students through the entire application and admission process. StudyUSA is now taking students from discovery to enrollment with a few additional components. Funds verification empowers students and their financial sponsors to point their online banking data to the authority who requested it. Our due diligence services involve in-depth background checks on applicants and their sponsors using bank-level security processes from around the world. And we can also establish escrow accounts that tap into the infrastructure of global financial services to ensure prompt payments to appropriate stakeholders. By the end of this session, we hope you'll have enough information to decide whether or not you'd like to participate in this collaboration. We want to make it clear from the very beginning that institutions will need to dedicate some time to INTCAS's registration and onboarding process. We want to work with organizations who are not afraid to change and with whom we can establish solid working relationships so you feel comfortable providing feedback. As you know, international student recruitment is a dynamic industry, and we're constantly striving to improve. We need your help to accomplish that. We also need you to acknowledge the project's complexities. Because we will be dealing with sensitive financial details, we need to take certain measures to ensure our compliance with appropriate rules and regulations around the world. INTCAS and StudyUSA are serious about GDPR, anti-money laundering, and Know Your Customer guidelines, and other compliance measures that are accepted by the global financial services industry. In essence, we're blending best practices from banking with the wisdom StudyUSA has acquired over the past 40 years working with inbound international students to the United States. INTCAS's infrastructure is ISO 27001 compliant, which means we abide by global standards to keep information assets secure. INTCAS is a regulated entity as an appointed representative of Bryce Amory Capital, which is regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. That's the government institution which oversees all affairs across the financial services sector. Now, before we go any further, you're probably wondering, how much is this going to cost the institution? The short answer is not much. INTCAS operates on a transactional basis with zero license fees. so there are no huge upfront costs to join StudyUSA Plus. To put it simply, INTCAS generates revenue each time a service is performed. It's similar to signing up for PayPal. There's no charge to join, but every time money is exchanged, PayPal scrapes a small percentage from each transaction. INTCAS employs a similar model. With that transaction-based revenue model, some cost may be absorbed by either the student or the education institution. Let's work our way through the most relevant costs and services from the top of this rate card. After a student submits an application, the institution may review a sanitized version of it, where the student's personal contact details have been redacted. If the institution decides to proceed with that application, the fee is $10 US. So there is no charge to the institution until the institution decides to accept that particular application. If the institution decides to decline a sanitized application that falls short of meeting their basic criteria, there is no charge. Institutions do not pay for applications they do not intend to pursue. Our verification services cost $20 per profile and may be absorbed by either the student or the institution, depending on the policy that was agreed during the registrations and onboarding phase of the project. Students originating from low-risk jurisdictions may be provided with the option, at the institution's behest, to provide a digital snapshot of their existing bank accounts using our verification services. Our optional interview function is embedded within the admission cloud and allows the counselor to schedule and record video interviews with prospective students, which are housed within the platform. Pre-selected questions, chat transcripts, and notes are saved alongside the video recording. Each admissions interview costs $16 US and is paid for by the institution. When a student successfully accepts an unconditional offer from the institution, there is a charge of $25 which may be absorbed by either the student or the institution, again depending on the agreed policy during registration and onboarding. The bulk of an institution's expense lies with the successful enrollment fee, which depends on the price of tuition. If a course costs up to $500, then the successful enrollment fee charged to the institution is $50. If the course costs between $500 and $5,000, then the successful enrollment fee is $150. For courses costing between $5,000 and $10,000, then the enrollment fee is $225. Courses costing more than $10,000 cost the institution $300 in successful enrollment fees. Our due diligence services cost $20 per check, and that expense is absorbed by the institution. Our Know Your Student processes search over 9 billion records from around the world to build a profile of the student and their sponsor. Our proprietary algorithms yield results relating to negative media searches, politically exposed persons lists, and sanction list searches. Establishing an escrow account costs $50 and may be absorbed by either the student or the institution. We plug into a global banking infrastructure, coordinating with leading international banks to establish escrow accounts for students who reside in mid to high-risk jurisdictions. The objective is to secure at least a portion, if not all, of the first year tuition fees and maintenance allowance or living expenses. That streamlines the visa decision-making process while also minimizing visa refusals due to financial reasons. Now, let's move into the actual process. How's this going to work exactly? Let's review just a few of the features available on the StudyUSA Plus platform. Please reach out to your StudyUSA account representative for the very latest details. If your institution decides to participate, we'll connect you with our London office for the registration and onboarding process. We'll need things like a vectorized version of your logo. We'll also require a single point of contact during the onboarding phase to coordinate all activities related to program information and training. Also, please provide a financial point of contact to coordinate all financial activities such as invoicing. The signatory is the individual required to sign the legal agreement between StudyUSA and your institution. Of course, we'll also need the names and email addresses for all counselors who will access StudyUSA Plus. Institutions will need to provide a list of 10 academic programs you wish to populate on the platform, from which students can select. Our team at INTCAS will work with a single point of contact to review the details and approve the final version. The additional institution registration fee is determined by the institution and typically ranges between $40 and $150. INTCAS collects that fee, then transfers those fees over to the institution in bulk via wire. Particular details of those courses will be required and managed by INTCAS's registrations and onboarding team. No real surprises there. Not surprisingly, we'll also require your banking details in order to process payments and disperse funds from the student's escrow account. So once the institution approves all of the details within their StudyUSA Plus platform, we're ready to go live. Let's consider this partial timeline with two parallel lanes, one for the student and the other for the institution. After the student explores various institutions within StudyUSA Plus, they can select one or several specific campuses that interest them. For this demo, we've created a sample institution called the College of Intelligent Communities Around Students. As noted here, the student may add as many programs as they'd like from this institution or any other within the StudyUSA Plus platform. The student's data will be fed into their own master application. And at this point, those applications are in English only, though we do intend to offer several language translations. We're very transparent about the fees, referencing them early in the process. The student can then select a specific course or several courses from that institution or other institutions within StudyUSA Plus. So if you remember from registrations and onboarding, institutions would be required to populate the platform with about 10 academic programs, with corresponding fields such as start date, tuition, and application fee. You'll notice at first glance, it looks like a few programs have been duplicated. Upon closer inspection, you'll see that the start dates are actually different. To see more information about the program, the student may simply click View Details to arrive on a page such as this, which of course would have been customized and approved by the institution during the registrations and onboarding process. The student may add those courses from that institution or any other institution to the basket or shopping cart that is so familiar on shopping sites these days, up there in the top right corner. In this case, we've chosen English as a second language and environmental science from our fictitious college. We can refer to the Add to Basket function on our flowchart. And now the application can be started. Due to GDPR rules, that's of course the General Data Protection Regulations that have been implemented recently by the European Union, the student must consent to the terms and conditions of using StudyUSA Plus and INTCAS. It's nothing out of the ordinary. We obviously just need to be in compliance. Through our research at INTCAS, we found about 70% of information requested on academic applications is the same, so we've standardized that part of the process. For the remaining 30% of data fields, the institutions are able to customize that through INTCAS. For example, relatively early in the process, we request details about immigration and visa affairs. At this point, the information is self-reported. It can be cross-referenced later in the process. Based on our sophisticated algorithms, we can also access country-specific immigration questions. The application process through StudyUSA Plus is quite thorough, as you can see through these few screenshots. When the application is complete, the student may submit it to the institution, who may access a sanitized version of the application via their StudyUSA Plus dashboard. The Sanitized Application is an application that does not contain key student contact information. The application is displayed in predefined categories presenting essential academic, sponsor, and immigration information. The admissions counselor should carefully review and decide whether to proceed to the next stage in the application lifecycle. You'll notice key risks attached to the application to help you make a decision. In this case, the applicant poses medium academic risk, high financial risk, and also high immigration risk. If you decide to accept the application, a pop-up box appears informing you of the application acceptance fee that will be added to the invoice. In this case, the institution will be charged $10, and you may choose whether to continue or not. As would be stated during the registration and onboarding process, your institution will be invoiced on a monthly basis. The dashboard now includes the student names along with other information. So of course, at the institutional dashboard within the platform, you'll have access to all applications that have originated through your promotion with StudyUSA Plus. Those applications include submitted, accepted, enrolled, refunded, as well as archived applications. As you're considering those applications, you may request additional services such as verification checks or due diligence. For funds verification, within the StudyUSA Plus portal on that student's application page, go to the drop-down menu and choose Request Verification Check. It's a very intuitive interface. You will be prompted to add a few more details, such as a brief description for why you are requesting the service. Note that the student's financial sponsor details will automatically populate based on that student's master application form hosted within the platform. And you'll be informed of the transaction costs, in this case, $25, which may be absorbed by the institution or by the student. In this case, we requested that the student absorb the cost. The student receives a message within his StudyUSA Plus dashboard alerting him that the college requested he complete an electronic proof of funds using the verification cloud. Now in this case, the student noted that his parents would fund his education, so that financial sponsor will receive an email message as well, along with instructions on how to satisfy the requirement. Now, before the student pays for that profile, he needs to ensure that his bank or his sponsor's bank is one of the 4,500 different banks with whom we're affiliated. We are affiliated with some of the most popular banks in the world, so the verification cloud is very appropriate for applicants from relatively low-risk jurisdictions, for those students who just need to satisfy the requirement quickly and easily. If their bank is not part of our network, then the process reverts back to the institution's traditional methods for verifying financial capacity. If the student or sponsor's bank lies within our network, the student can confirm the purchase of the verification report. From the student dashboard within StudyUSA Plus, the student can select Add New Account and choose from a bank in the list. If the student chooses HSBC, for example, the account holder will be asked to link that bank to their StudyUSA Plus profile. Now, we chose this interface in part to facilitate the fight against fraud. This approach serves to authenticate the user's identity. As I've mentioned, INTCAS employs the most robust security and privacy methods used by the world's leading banks, informed by Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering guidelines. And the user is always in charge of restricting access to their data at any time. So in my example, I used Vanguard Investments, PayPal, and Bank of America. Click on any of the accounts for more details, including the past 60 or 90 days of transactions, depending on the bank's policies. The total balance of all accounts is shown in the currency of the host country, in this case, US dollars. Then of course, when they're ready, the student can submit the verification profile to the institution in which he or she expressed interest. Over on the institution side, the counselor may view exactly what the student sent and proceed accordingly based on those financial credentials. Again, it's a very intuitive, user-friendly interface. Now, if you were to request due diligence, the institution may return to its dashboard within StudyUSA Plus, access that particular student's application, and select Request Due Diligence. You will have an opportunity to choose the individuals for whom you wish to request due diligence based on people affiliated with that particular application within the platform. In this case, we've chosen to run a report only on the financial sponsor, which happens to be me. Please note that each due diligence report costs $16. You will have an opportunity to add a customized note to your requests of the student, as shown in the description here at the bottom of the page. Again, you can always manage each individual application from within your StudyUSA Plus dashboard. Here's a partial screenshot of the due diligence report. We're actually looking forward to guiding the conversation about reasonable due diligence on student visa applicants to proactively counter extreme vetting. INTCAS's proprietary algorithms check over 9 billion records from around the world. For the vast majority, these cases result in a green light, which you can see in the upper left corner. That means the application can proceed without issue. However, there might be situations when the results warrant some caution, and those will be flagged with yellow or red indications depending on the severity of the results. In all cases, the final decision of admitting the student or not will lie with the institution. The bottom line, INTCAS warns of potentially negative applications which could damage the reputation of the education institution. Now, back to our process flow chart. If you decide to proceed with the application, the institution may issue a conditional offer. So back at the counselor dashboard, you may choose between making a conditional or unconditional offer. In this case, we choose conditional with an appropriate expiration date. We provide a template of the conditional offer letter, which you may send to the student directly from the StudyUSA Plus platform. As a matter of fact, we encourage all student-to-institution correspondence to run through this platform for easier tracking and transparency. You may add customized text to the offer letter. You may also add more than 40 different kinds of conditions, ranging from a letter of confirmation from the financial sponsor, a formal letter of sponsorship from the government or employer, evidence of nationality, immunization or other medical records, academic transcripts, or proof of English proficiency. The point is, StudyUSA Plus platform is designed to streamline the international admissions process. At this stage, the student may accept the conditional offer after uploading the requested documents, at which point the institution may issue an unconditional offer through the StudyUSA Plus platform. If the student chooses to accept your unconditional offer, they will be charged a very reasonable fee of $25. Of course, they may choose to continue, at which time the institution may then request payment through our escrow services. Now, institutions will be presented with that option when an unconditional offer is made to the student. So as always, go back to your StudyUSA Plus dashboard. During the invoice stage, you will be asked, would you like to collect the tuition fees and/or living allowance in our managed escrow account? The transactional cost to establish an escrow account is $50 and again may be borne by the institution or the student. We give you a lot of flexibility with fee collection of tuition, living expenses, or both, as well as the time in which those payments are due. Of course, the escrow cloud is particularly helpful in higher risk jurisdictions as defined by the institution. We plug into a global banking infrastructure, coordinating with leading financial institutions around the world. This not only minimizes the financial risk of the education institutions, but it also streamlines the visa decision-making process. It lowers the risk of visa denials due to financial reasons. Of course, all details are communicated immediately to the student. Keep in mind that the escrow cloud protects students as well. It is insured by INTCAS's fee protection policy, which means INTCAS assures students, families, and sponsors that making such a payment to any institution through INTCAS is underwritten by a AAA-rated insurance policy. The escrow cloud ensures that the amount deposited by the student is converted to the host nation's currency, in this case, US dollars. This mitigates the chance of visa rejection due to fluctuating exchange rates as the amount is already secured. Now, initially, some colleagues were a little hesitant to embrace the escrow option because they think they can't afford to put up any more barriers to entry for their international student applicants. In reality, in some source countries, escrow accounts are gaining significant momentum as parents are eager to elevate their son or daughter's visa application. So based on input from both the student and the institution, StudyUSA Plus will generate a payment sheet with bank details. Our partner payment processors allow the student or sponsor to make payments into a local bank account. Again, there are a number of safeguards we employ. Funds must be transferred into the listed bank from an existing bank account. We must receive your payment in our payment partner's bank account within 48 hours of generating this payment sheet, as the exchange rate has been secured only for that period of time. The student must also upload a payment receipt to ensure it can be tracked efficiently and maintain the level of transparency we require. Once payment has been received and confirmed, the student may access other INTCAS services to help manage the immigration and visa processes. Optional services include mock interviews with specialized staff around the world. Then, when the student arrives on campus, both the student and the institution must confirm the enrollment of the student within the StudyUSA Plus platform. I trust that this relatively brief overview of StudyUSA Plus has provided enough information for you to decide if you'd like to participate. To get started, just reach out to your current StudyUSA account representative or contact advertising@studyusa.com. We very much look forward to working with you to advance global mobility of qualified students around the world. Thank you for joining us.